of anatomy class. This week I'm going to be doing the first video. My first video is on the axial skeleton system. Okay, so first we're going to start with the cranial bones. The frontal bone, located here at the top of the forehead. The parietal bone is located in the middle of the head. And the occipital bone is located towards the back of the head. The external occipital protuberance, also known as the inion, is located in the center of the occipital bone. It is where the muscles attach to keep the head upright and to allow you to tilt your head backwards. The temporal bone contains the temporomandible joint, which is the joint that connects right here. Your jawbone is the top of the jawbone is a temporomandible joint. The mastoid process is a bone that is located behind the ear. And the styloid process is a part of the temporal bone. It comes down and is the end of the temporal bone right here, the styloid process. The external acoustic meatus, also known as the external auditory meatus, is also known as the ear canal, located right here, the ear canal. The squamous part of the temporal bone is located at the front top part of the temporal bone is where the squamous part is located. The internal view of the temporal, the petrous, which is part of the temporal bone, is found between the sphenoid and the occipital bones. It forms the internal borders of the choroid canal and the posterolateral boundary of the foramen lacrium. Also fuses together the internal surface of squamous temporals and mastoid. The internal acoustic meatus transmits nerves and vessels from within the posterior cranial fossa to the auditory and vestibular apparatus. The sphenoid is also the external view of the sphenoid. The sphenoid is a bone that's located behind the eye. It contains the superior orbital fissure. The nerves that passes through this are the lacrimal, the frontal abducens, trochlear, superior and inferior division of the ocular motor nerve, and the nasal ciliary nerve. The internal view of the sphenoid contains the greater and the lesser wing. The lesser wing forms part of the anterior cranial fossa floor bottom and part of the medial walls of the orbits. The greater wing projects laterally from the sphenoid body, forming parts of the medial cranial fossa, posterior walls of the orbits, and the external wall of the skull. The optic canal, the eye canal, also located within the sphenoid process, allows the optic nerve, also known as cranial two nerves, to pass through. The sella teresia, also, which is the meaning of Turk's saddle, because of its saddle-shaped prominence. So the seat of the saddle is known as hypophyseal fossa, which forms a snug enclosure of the pituitary gland. The ethmoid process contains crista galli. The ethmoid is located between the eyes and the roof of the nose. It contains something called crista galli, which is the outermost covering of the brain, also known as the dura mater. It attaches to the crista galli and serves as a protectant of allows the brain to fit into the cranial cavity. The cribriform plates are punctured by tiny holes called cribriform foramina that allows the filaments of the olfactory nerves to transmit the smell of the receptors into the nasal cavity of the brain. Okay, so hold on one second. I'll be back. I'm going to get the skull top to describe to you the sutures that are located on the skull.